Hello, I am Sena. Welcome to another episode of Europe 19th Century. In this episode, we will explore the Victorian Era. The Victorian Era was the rule of Queen Victoria. This era saw the great movement in culture and technology. However, it also saw the rise of the British Empire and consequences of rising such an empire like the British Empire. Alexandrina Victoria was born in 1819 to her father, Edward, Duke of Kent, and her mother, Princess Victoria Saxe-Coburg-Seafield. In 1837, Victoria was crowned Queen of England after William IV's untimely death. In these next paragraphs, we will discuss the people and buildings that forever shaped Britain. Charles Dickens was born on February 7, 1812, and up to now he had been selling stories and essays to newspapers and magazines. However, the story that put him on the map was the Pickwick Papers, which made him the most popular author of the day. He went to work as an editor for a magazine where he serialized Oliver Twist. However, his biggest book yet was 1843's A Christmas Carol, which tells the story of a miserly old man who was taught the joys and values of Christmas. Today, Dickens' books today are still being retold in games, movies, and TV shows, and I myself would say he's one of history's greatest children's book writers next to Dr. Seuss. Joseph Niepce, an artist in 1816, created the first real-time painting and met famous artist Louis Dagger, who had invented the diorama. Niepce was fascinated by Dagger's diorama and dreamed of capturing a picture with a camera obscura, so he put phosphorescent powder at the back of his camera obscura. The image stayed for a few hours before disappearing, and in 1832 they invented the physototype, a machine that used to make images. In 1833, Niepce died of a stroke. Dagger continued research on the physototype and had no breakthroughs until a platinum plate he left was exposed to mercury water and revealed an extremely clear photo for 19th century standards. Dagger then created a daguerreotype, which reduced photography time to just minutes. Napoleon's campaign in Egypt and his discoveries of pharaoh tombs led to an alliance of trade and scientific innovations. It was here Britain, through legal and non-suspicious ways, took the Rosetta Stone. Britain and the rest of Europe were fascinated by the so-called exotic culture, which led to a craze for everything Egyptian, from literature to style to fine art. Perhaps the biggest craze was on the mummy, the bandaged deceased body of Pharaoh and other Egyptian royalties, where the British held an event dubbed a mummy unwrapping party, where you guessed it, it unwrapped the mummy with the help of an unroller who would unwrap the mummy and hand out the rolls for whatever purpose those British snobs want. Nowadays, this is seen as an insult to the culture of Egypt, and the Rosetta Stone has yet to be returned to its rightful owners. Meanwhile, back in London, the booming population was beginning to take a toll on bridges across London. There was a vendor being in the east, as there were 0 bridges at all. The reason being it was used for ports and docks and trading for Britain's iron economy. So Horace Jones, chief architect of the city corporation, asked some other architects for ideas on what a bridge in East London would look like. Some had swinging roadways, going up-down roadways, and even people lifts. But Horace Jones decided on his own architect. It was a Gothic-esque bascule bridge with 2 walkways, one that rotates to let boats come, and one up top for pedestrians. Construction on this new bridge began in 1884 and was officially opened in 1894 by Prince and Princess of Wales. A common misconception by tourists was that it is a super old ancient bridge, but in reality it's like 200 years old, and it's 11 years opened after the Brooklyn Bridge. Its name, Tower Bridge, was taken from the Tower of London. At this point in the Victorian era, the Union Jack flag waved all the way from New South Wales, Australia to the British West Indies. As an old saying once said, the sun never truly sets on the British Empire. During this time, Britain had also gained a surplus of new colonies in the form of Hong Kong, Malay, Egypt, Malta, and Cyprus. However, the largest colonies they ever had was Europe's scramble for Africa, which was a race to colonize Africa before the competition does. Britain had issues when entering Cape Colony as they faced very hostile from the Boers who owned slaves, thus starting a conflict called the Boer Wars. In the east, things were different as they faced an Arabic empire that had a colony in the east as a stopover for trade from Africa to the Indian subcontinent. However, in Africa, Britain also stole a very prized possession of Africa itself, the Benin Bronzes. The Kingdom of Benin had resisted Britain's trade agreements, and when Benin guardsmen killed British emissaries, the British sent 1,200 men to not only kill the Benin people, but also, through legal and non-suspicious ways, take the Benin bronzes and other untapped riches. They piled them neatly and photographed them and sold them away, and Benin fell under British control. The Victorian era ended in 1901 when Queen Victoria died and her reign was passed on to Edward VII. The Victorian era saw a huge explosion of literature and technology, while also seeing the British Empire in its largest state. Thank you for listening to my video. Please like and subscribe and post what you think about my video in the comments down below.